today I will put up like a video, so if I video sometimes, then I'll put those up. Okay, so let's look at the rhetorical situation. So yours is in yellow because this is going to be like what our expectation is of how to work through these documents. Some of these terms will look familiar because they're from your notes, right? They were from that Lang of Comp page, but let's go through and talk. So we'll talk about like the piece of text. So today, like our piece of text, even text can be, and I think it said it in the Lang of Comp, like text can be visual. Like all text is not written, right? The writer, the speaker. Think about when you read fiction. When you read fiction, you have like the speaker, right? Like the main, like the omniscient author, the omniscient speaker. It could be one of the characters. But for us, the speaker is not always evident, easily evident. The commercial we have today, the company will end up being the speaker because it's who produced it. If you have a letter, like we'll read a letter from Abigail Adams, obviously that is your speaker or writer because she is actually physically writing that. Okay. Who is the writer or speaker? What do you know about them, or what do you need to know about them? Today, we're going to research them. So sometimes you don't know anything, and if you have the ability to research people or an idea or things, then that's what we're going to use stuff for. Audience. Who is the audience? Notice we go to the third power. We'll talk about that today and why we do that. What perspectives on the subject might the audience have? One of the reasons why we do to this third power is because when you start having pieces of evidence and you need something to say, a lot of times you're going to run out of things to say. If we can identify multiple audiences, right, then your piece of evidence can be analyzed for each audience. So the audience is not the reader. The audience is not America. Okay, so we want it specific, and we'll look at that today. Context. Context is what is happening contextually during the time of the speech, the letter, whatever, right? So if you think about context clues for vocabulary, you look around the word to figure out the meaning, right? Same thing for context of a situation. And once we get into some, like maybe another month or so, we'll do stuff that is historically based so that it will align with what you're learning in U.S. history, right? If you're in dual credit U.S. history, I have no clue what y'all do in there. So we'll figure that out once we get there. Exigence. This is kind of not a new aspect, but it's a new focus for our exam. The exigence comes from, usually from the context. So the exigence is, sometimes you'll hear me say, like, what's the straw that broke the camel's back? What is the thing that made the writer, speaker take action, right, to speak out against this? That's exigence. So what provoked or inspired the writer to develop the text? On the back, we have purpose. This is the big idea. Here we're looking at abstract ideas. And it's the one page that I forgot to get y'all. And once we get some more yellow paper, I will make a copy of it for you. But I have a list of like abstract concepts that we will look at and that you can use. The message is the main idea. So this is, you have to pretend that so if someone doesn't know the piece, whatever piece of text you're writing about, your main idea, the message, should give them the understanding of the piece that you're looking at. So today we'll look at like the commercial. claims and assertions. So the claim has to be arguable. Okay, and assertions they answer how or why to the claim. Your claim is kind of your thesis, we would say. Like what's the impact? Like what are they trying to argue? And then we'll look at different types of evidence used. So type of evidence used, I listed off the types of evidence here, and then the evidence itself. We'll probably not get there today. We'll get to that tomorrow. All right? All right, so we're going to start by watching commercial. And you'll see on the syllabus, like there's the syllabus, and you have like everything that we're doing. I will add the video today of what I'm teaching. So I think I fixed my mouse, maybe. Oh, I say that and then it stops. Hold, please. Hold, please. Hold, please. Y'all, this has been like the bane of my existence, is this freaking mouse. You know when you need technology to work and it doesn't work? That's where I'm at. Oh. All right, here we go.
Who said that?
The lady at the store.
That is not a compliment.
Listen, it's an ugly, nasty word, and you are going to hear it. Nothing I can do about that. But you are not going to let that word hurt you. You hear me?
There are some people who think you don't deserve the same privileges just because of what you look like. It's not fair. It's not.
Remember, you can do anything they can. Difference is you gotta work twice as hard and be twice as smart. Come straight home after breakfast. Yeah, Jody? Guess it's stuff with.
How's your review?
You were good.
You good?
Yeah,
You see?
you're good.
Okay. Good. Now, when you get pulled over,
I'm a good driver.
hey,
Don't worry.
this is not about you getting a ticket. This is about you not coming home.
I'm gonna be okay. Right? Okay. It's not fair. But you keep showing up.
You are not pretty for a black girl. You are beautiful, period. Okay? Don't ever forget that.
All right, so let's go back to our sheet and talk about the different pieces. Okay, so our piece of text is going to be an advertisement called The Talk. And it's by Procter & Gamble. All right, so who is our writer or speaker? Procter & Gamble. So I'm going to put P&G. Now, are there different people speaking in there, like physically talking? Yes, but who is the one that is giving this to the audience is what we're looking at. So Procter & Gamble. All right, so notice, like, what do we know about them? Anybody? No, okay. So listen. Coach Wardock and I, when we were working through this a couple of weeks ago before school started, we pulled out our computers and we looked it up. Pull out your phones. Google Procter & Gamble. Now, you know that like when you look up stuff, right? If you don't have your phone, you can pull out your computer. When you look up stuff, now you want to go to their page. So you want to find about this company. So go to their page and look and see if you can find something about them, about their organization, about their ideas as a company. How long have they been established? What do they support? What products do they have, right? So you want to figure out what their story is. So when you find stuff, let me know. And all that information is usually at the bottom of web pages, right? About us. What do you have?
It says we want to lead the charge in doing the right thing. Our goal is to.
Okay, hold on. We want to, so this is a quote, right? Lead the charge in doing the right thing. Okay. What else did we find?
It says our goal is to use every opportunity we have, no matter how small, to set change in motion.
To set change in motion. Okay. What else did y'all find in there?
We believe in finding small but meaningful ways to improve lives.
Improve lives, okay. You might see how long they've been around.
Not how long they've been around, but all the products they have.
Okay, so what types of products do they have? Like,
Cleaning products.
yep.
Like Gain, Mr. Clean, Tide,
Okay.
Olay, Crest, Head and Shoulders.
So cleaning, house cleaning, personal,
Family related.
personal cleaning. Personal cleaning sounds gross, but y'all know what I mean. Yeah, they're all family. Like, what do you mean family related?
Like kids and stuff like
Yeah, so from young to old, good. Anybody see in there how long they've been around?
Over 180 years.
How many? 181 years is what it should say on there. Yeah. So 181 years they have been a company. I think on there somewhere too, don't they, in their statement that says that they have challenged convention. Can y'all find that on there somewhere on there? It's like we've challenged convention. Challenge convention, what else? Yeah, there's something in there. Challenge convention, they've led, they've helped. So challenge convention, led, innovation, helped shape culture. My handwriting's messy. Okay, so listen. Those are all things that we have no clue that that's what Procter & Gamble did, right? We probably didn't even know that some of the products in there that are in your house are Procter & Gamble, right? Can you agree that, like, Procter & Gamble, well, here's the thing. Over the last, I would say, really 10 to 15 years, I've kind of noticed that companies have changed the way that they have advertised to people. It used to just be about the product, right? You would see this woman with long hair and it was nice and silky and you're like, shampoo commercial, right? Now, I think companies have begun to understand that consumers have changed, right? Consumers no longer buy, or sometimes we buy based on like what our parents have bought, right? So when y'all go to college, more than likely the products that you buy will be the products that your parents or that your mom or dad have bought over the years that you've had at home, right? You just continue to buy that same product. What companies are now starting to see is that consumers are starting to buy based on movements, right? Like, what company supports a movement that I care about? I know that I want to support that company by buying their products, right? So therefore, if I buy that product, I am also supporting that movement. Does that make sense? So that's what you see with Procter & Gamble, right? That they're leading innovation. So now you go, okay, how does this commercial support the idea of Procter & Gamble products? But when we go and look at Procter & Gamble and what they stand for, they are leading the change and doing the right thing. Does that fit that commercial? Bing, right? Use any opportunity to set change in motion. Bing, that commercial, right? So now you're looking at the commercial aligns with their brand, okay? So let's look at audience. Tell me audiences. What do y'all think? Listen, you're going to be wrong in here a lot, and I'll tell you you're wrong, and it's fine. If I haven't told you you're wrong at some point in this class, then you're not doing something right.
Just people watching TV. Don't get it.
Who is that? That's too, that for me is like the reader. So that's the watcher, right? So be more specific. Maya? Okay, families, okay? Within those families, what types of families can we say? Okay, so you would have minority families. You would have white families. Okay, so there's two audiences. That makes sense to you? Who else? Parker?
People that want to support a cause.
Okay, so so people that were, and these can be, I mean, and I would say with that, it could be like informed consumers. Could also be uninformed consumers. Does that make sense to y'all? Because what you're looking at, especially when it comes to products, we tend to buy what we are used to, right? It takes a lot for a consumer, once you're spending your own money, to buy something different because I don't know what I'm gonna get. But now if I'm like, I really care about like social justice, I really care about equality within my community, how can I support that? Well, I'm going to support that by the brands I buy, the products I buy, right? And so that informed consumer might switch the product that they buy based on what the organization believes, okay? So we look at that. So what perspectives on the subject might the audience have due to their shared or individual beliefs? Okay, so what shared belief or situation do minority families have? Okay, so they have either been affected by racism in some shape or form. Prejudice. Okay. What about white families? What do we all have in common besides being white? Okay, so do we have to have that? Do our families have to have that conversation with us? No, so because we are the majority, right, quote unquote, they don't have the conversation. My mom never sat me down and said, this is how you have to act when you get pulled over by the police. Right? But it is a conversation that I have to have with my daughter. My daughter's half black, half white. Right? So it is a conversation I have to have with my daughter, or her father has to have with her. So it's a conversation that we are not used to having. Agreed? All right, let's look at the context. So what is happening contextually? So somebody Google when this commercial was produced. So when was the talk commercial produced? Do what? 2018. 2017? Yeah. I see July. It was like July 2017, right? July 20th. Okay. The summer of 2017. What happened the previous year? Okay. We had a presidential election. We don't really talk about, we will talk about a lot of political stuff, but everybody has their own beliefs. Yes. The one in Charlottesville? Google it real quick and see. I want to say that was 2018.
The police were shot in Dallas.
Google it and see. I'll tell you what was happening for sure. So we have the presidential election was fall of 2016, right? Surprisingly, the kneeling of athletes started in, I want to say like summer, fall. What was? Okay. Okay. What you're looking at is you're looking at also an increased awareness of police brutality. A lot of them without convictions. And an increased awareness of like social injustices, right? And why? Because you're really seeing a rise in social media, right? And news, a rise in different news outlets rather than just like the major stations. What we're really looking at is we're looking at a really divisive country. All right, so all of that context, and sometimes the context is a little bit more specific, right? Like, I mean, if we're talking about JFK's inaugural speech, right? We have the context of what's happening in our country during the 1960s, what kind of president, like he was our first democratic Catholic, or first Catholic president elected, right? So you have all of the, like, your context sometimes is a little bit more specific. This one we have to look a little bit wider, right? Exigence. Okay, this is a little bit tougher because it does come from the context. Again, this is one of the ones that is a little bit not newer for us, but there's more of a focus on our test about the word, like the idea of exigence. So you will hear that word or see that word on your test in multiple choice or whatnot. So the exigence of this, sometimes again, it's going to be very specific. But here I would say that the exigence comes from this. So for me, I would say the exigence is, I would say twofold. I would say it would be an increase in violence or an increase in prejudice against minorities. And then, I mean, really, I would say kind of what we were talking about the company is that there is an understanding by the company of a changing consumer. And by that I mean, when I was growing up, I mean all the way until I went to college, I never went grocery shopping. I never like went to Target wasn't a thing, right? Like I never really went to Target to pick up stuff, right? Now I would say it's common day for you, right? For your parents to be like, hey, can you run to the store and pick up? Or if you're like, hey mom, I need X, Y, or Z, she'll be like, pick it up on your way home, right? Go pick it up. That was never really a thing for me growing up. My mom was like, great, add it to the list, I'll go get it, right? So I think now the consumer has become younger. Not that you couldn't have gone shopping. I couldn't have gone shopping when I was younger. It just wasn't like the environment that we lived in. Same thing too, like when we went to college, dude, I have to buy stuff at college. I mean, yeah, I had to fill up on stuff, but like that was a time where my mom and dad would come and like we would go shopping and she would stock me up for almost the whole semester of shampoos and toothpastes and all that, right? Now there's a little bit more freedom. Y'all have a little bit more freedom as consumers. Do I still buy products that my parents bought? Absolutely. There's still like canned black eyed peas. There is a certain brand that I will buy because that's what I grew up on. Have I tried other brands? Yes. Are they as good? Probably. But do I think so? No, because it doesn't remind me of what I had before, right? So we tend to buy the same brands. But now I think, like we said, these companies are starting to understand that we have a changing consumer that they have to reach. They now have consumers that are more educated. They now have consumers that have concerns of things that are happening in our environment or in our community, right? All right, purpose. For purpose, and this is the one sheet that I need to get you, we want to look at like abstract ideas. Like what are the big ideas that this commercial hits? Like what do y'all think? We talked about prejudice, right? We talked about racism, injustice, inequality. These are going to be like a feel statement. Like, what is this? The purpose of this advertisement is to get the consumer to feel, to get the minority families to feel, to get the white families to feel, right? So these are two feel statements, right? And if you notice, like, the way that I kind of start, I can't commit to a sentence. I've got to jot down my ideas first, and then I'm like, okay, that's kind of where I'm going, right? What does this commercial want people to feel? What do they want the consumer to feel?
Like you need to make a difference.
Okay, so they feel that they need to make a difference. Okay, good. I like it. What else?
Maybe empathy.
Good. Why would you say empathy?
Because maybe families that like are people that are minorities, they like feel what others go through.
Yeah, they may not even realize that that's a thing that's happening, right? And so now they could be more empathetic when they come across families that may be going through that situation. Good. Okay. So, this advertisement let's identify like the consumer. Makes the consumer. I'm going to combine the two of y'all. So, Frank, I'm going to combine yours with, God, turn your name to me, because I don't even have you. Theo. Okay, with what Theo said. So, this advertisement makes the consumer feel empathetic to the struggles of an entire community, which encourages them to make some sort of difference. Period. Good? All right. Welcome to day 1 of AP Lang. We'll stop there. So tomorrow we'll come back and we'll finish up. I use it every time. Oh, there you go.